We are here with Todd Bressi and the amazing artist Add Fuel. What's going on, Todd? Let's talk a little bit about what's going on behind us and what this means, and talking to the artists. And Add Fuel. You're straight from Portugal to Philly. But Todd, let us know how this got started and your thoughts and behind it, and then Add Fuel we'll talk about your process and everything.
We're sitting at Jefferson Plaza, a brand new public space in Center City, Philadelphia, 12th and Chestnut right behind me. And this great new development that's got restaurants and shops and a medical office building for Jefferson University. And this backdrop here is the heart of the plaza. People are going to be walking up and down here. There's going to be a cafe across the way. People will be sitting here looking at this all day. And so when folks who built this place approached Mural Arts about putting a mural here, we decided to help them and came to Add Fuel because we know of his work and thought it would be a great touch. So my first question is, when we contacted you, Add Fuel, why'd you take the call?
Well, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? I've been following up on Mural Arts, and on your projects and all your work for some years now, and I know, I have knowledge of your work. I know what you guys do, so I was excited to have the opportunity to possibly come over and do this project. And when we started to develop a bit more our conversation about what the project would be, I was, I got really excited about, possibly doing this. So, and I'm glad it worked out and we're here today. Yeah. This project in particular was, let's say, a project that is the result of a combination of ideas, not only from me, but also from, the developer and also from yourself, you guys from Mural Arts. I faced this project and I dealt with this project like the way that I do with so many projects. It's just to try to make it as local as possible, in a way that people that walk by the street every day identify somehow with it, and in particular, I work with patterns. Patterns tend to, twist your brain a little bit when you see them, but I also work with, let's say, the double meaning and the double vision of a pattern on, you approach it, you look at it, and it looks like it's something, then you have to go deeper into the details, and then that's when it starts to become alive, And well, we had a lot of meetings, as you know. We talked a lot about what could be done, what we could do here, and taking this into the starting point. Let's make it in a way that it connects to Philadelphia. A lot of these elements come from either be to architectural elements from Philadelphia, the heritage and the strong influence that Mercer tiles had in Philadelphia, being a tile-based mural. Obviously, I go into that direction, so easily. So it has some influence from Mercer tiles. Also in terms of chromatic, my style being, let's say, highly recognizable with the blues and the whites. That actually fitted in really well with Jefferson Health because it's also their color. So there was so many elements in here that sort of kind of matched, and they felt like they were the right call for creating this mural. So what I want to do is I don't want to go too much into deep on the mural because I want people to come over and start looking at the details and discover all the elements. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, for folks who may not had the chance to be in Lisbon and visit Lisbon and see the great things there in your National Tile Museum. Tell us a little bit about the Portuguese traditions of tile making that you've learned about and carried forth a little bit here in Philadelphia.
Well, so the thing is, we have a centuries-old tradition of tile making, right? We kind of inherited from the Arabic Muslim culture that used to be in the location that Portugal is right now. So we inherited a lot of that. We developed a lot of techniques based on what we learned. I say we as a people, right? I'm talking about 15th century. And it's been around the 18th century in Portugal. Tile making was elevated to one of the main arts alongside with sculpture and painting. So that's how important tile making was in Portugal.
Something special you can do when you work in tile as opposed to paper or paint?
Well, there are so many different ways to work with tiles in terms of techniques, right? In terms of techniques. I tend to go with the technique that kind of translates my original work, let's say, into the tile in the most faithful way, and that is screen printing on tile. But the thing is that this technique is not only screen print on tile, it has a hand finished touch to it in some of the sections of the mural. So it's a combination of digital technique with a handmade technique, I guess. So it's a I would say quite unique process because I can get all of these very vibrant colors from the tile, in a tile, and I can also have the final result as it being very graphical as well, which connects really well with what I do in murals, painted murals, where I use stencil and freehand, but also very clean, very graphical. Screen print, same thing, very clean. So I think that it's important to have this transversal language that goes across the different mediums that I've worked with. And I did a lot of research on how could I achieve this result on tiles, and happy with it.
Now you, in your career, you've worked with graffiti art, you've worked with popular culture, imagery, things like that. How do you look at your work in terms of balancing sort of classical storytelling traditions you're working on, and sort of contemporary vibe of visual expression?
Right. Well, so my work is based on, as I mentioned, it's based in tradition and heritage. And what I always try to find the balance, that's exactly your question. So what I try to find the balance is in the shapes, right? The shapes and the flow of each pattern, of each composition, they need to be classical. They need to, be perceived as a classical mural, right? Because someone that walks by, if that person does not look twice at it, it's like, oh, it's a tile mural with classical patterns. And that's the first layer of it, right? And then that's where the actual balance kicks in, because I include my own elements. I have my own visual language very present, but it's only perceived at second or a third glance to the art piece itself. So I like this game that I actually play with people. I perceive it, at the first glance. So it's interesting to kind of make people look at the artwork once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, just dive into
You don't want to give away any secrets. Can you tell us a little more about the composition, the layering that's going on here, the different planes of design?
Well, working with layers is something that I've been doing as part of my aesthetic language for a lot of years now. And this idea came from, the fact that I work with what happened in the past and it's now in the present. I layer it visually, actually, like it's in your face, it's layered. So it's kind of like the past coming into the future and being peeled and like being discovered and rediscovered, and then it's like layers on top of layers, which then again stacks on top of layers of meaning of the mural itself. It looks like it's something, then you delve deeper into it and it's something else. And for me it's also interesting since I work with all of these different mediums, and I like the fact that it looks like it's ripped tile, because the material itself, it's such a hard, rigid material. Durable. The color doesn't fade, it's glazed, and it looks like it's been torn, right? And to me that is fascinating. Once again, it's playing with people's perception, giving them something to think about. If someone walks by this mural and just takes something out of it, it makes that person, think about it for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, mission accomplished.
So you've been in Philly a few days now, you've had a chance to roam around. What do you like about the city?
I am loving the city, the vibe of it as a city, I love the architecture. I love just walking around, getting kind of lost within all the buildings, and it's the contrast of it, you know, the old meets the new, and you know, it just talks to me in a way that this is also what I do in my work. You know, the old meets the new. So I'm very fascinated by it.
Yeah.
And I get to see that in the city in a different perspective. You know, mainly in architecture. Yeah, and it's been a good time. It's been a good time.
Speaking of old versus meets the new, I know that you found one of our oldest food traditions here, the cheesesteak. You found a vegan version of that.
I found a vegan
I'm not sure if
version.
that counts or not, but how was that?
Well, you know, my opinion is that I have not yet tried the classical
Okay.
version, but the vegan version was really good. So, you know, next days I have to try the original one.
Well, we appreciate you, Todd, for carrying the conversation. Thank you so much, Ad Fuel, for just delivering, helping beautify the city, coming to Philly. We welcome you. We thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you.